Hello, 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 hello. It's that time again. It's the monthly PMO show. You're here with Eileen, John, and myself. I mean, for the next 45 minutes, we're getting into PMO stuff. Lots of stuff to talk about this month. So let's crack on. We're on fire. How are you doing, John? How are you doing, Eileen? Is everything?
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's a lovely day today. What's it like up your way?
I'm in Manchester, and guess what? It's raining.
Oh,
It's not, is it?
Just for a change. Hopefully
I've
things
got sunshine here in Greenwich.
hopefully things are okay where you are. It feels like ages since we got together on a HotHouse. It's probably because it's the holidays, and I know people have been away and having fun and all of that lovely stuff. But this month, let's have a look what we've got coming up. John, did you have a nice holiday? Yeah,
I had a lovely holiday. Thank you. We took the kids all the way across Europe. It required meticulous project planning, but you'd expect nothing less of me, right? Yeah, we took the kids down by train through France, Italy, across to up into Switzerland, across to Split, and back again. So yeah, it was a roller coaster journey. It was good to be back here for a break afterwards.
Yes. And Eileen, have you done anything to refresh your batteries or whatever you call it?
Oh, not yet. Not yet. Things going to be happening between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
We've been too busy with family stuff kind of this year to kind of think about holidays, but we'll get there.
Absolutely. So we've got a couple of new things added to the sessions for today, and hopefully we'll start to see some of those in future episodes. So we've got great ideas, and what's going on is new for people that have joined us before. What's hot and what's not. We've got poll of the month back, and we've got ask the audience back. And for people that are taking part on, but right here in your live audience, we're always lovely to see your chats as we go through the session as well. And there is a little bit where we do ask you to get involved. For people that are joining us on the live stream, we're streaming on LinkedIn, Twitter, and on YouTube. So if you want to get involved, you are more than welcome to drop comments into the into where you're watching us right now, and would love to pick those up as well. So that's what we're doing. HotHouse is all about a fast and furious 45 minutes to just bring you up to date with some of the things that have been happening in the world of PMO. And like I said, we've got a new segment this month, and I'm going to be handing over to that's smooth, isn't it, John? How do you like that? You're on mute, mate. On mute, you know.
I was so taken away by the chilled intro. I've not seen that one before.
No, it's a new one.
When was that one pulled together? That's new. I've not seen that.
A couple of days ago, you know, we like to be agile.
Super. I'm impressed with that. That's nice. I like that. Very, very mellow feeling.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can see my screen now. So because this is kind of what we're going to talk about just for a few minutes. It's Q4. So of course we're still here despite it being the end of August. If your organization's anything like the ones I'm sort of working with at the moment, you see there's a whole load of calendar entries there with out of office that have massively expanded even today, and then carry on through next week as everyone seems to be away enjoying themselves. Apart from us, the stalwarts of the PMO sitting here keeping everything running while they're off enjoying the sunshine. But it is this that I want to talk about, sort of Q4. Now, I know Q4 is October, November, December, but then again, we've got this kind of holiday period and everyone kind of comes back in September. So September's always a bit of a weird time where we're sort of wrapping up Q3 and starting Q4. And I just really want to sort of have a think about how we want to look forward to Q4 and get it right this year. It's got a nice welcome back thing there for us. So let's just take a minute and just consider what happens to our projects in our portfolio in October. And there's a few things that happen, right? What happens is we're kind of starting now, everyone's back, we're sort of getting our project managers, pulling their teams together, back from holidays, asking how everyone's been, checking on all their milestones. There's lots of decisions to make. And gradually, sometime between now and October, a lot of our projects end up going red, and you get this real crunch time. And if you don't believe me, look back through your historic RAG statuses over the year. Don't look at where they are in the life cycle or anything like that. Just look at time of year, and you'll see you get this trend. You get a lot more reds around late September, early October than you do at other times of the year. There's a few reasons why that happened that we'll just sort of dive into. So firstly, there's a debt to be paid on your projects. A lot of your project managers, they'll have thought about who's going to be away. They'll have planned for that, but they won't have always planned for the lack of connectivity that happens, the fast decision making that happens, the sort of the interfaces between people that always seem to take a bit longer. A sign off that might normally take you a day will suddenly take a couple of weeks because Dave's off and then Sarah's off and things like that. So it takes a long time. But your project managers are inherently optimistic people, as are software developers who work on a lot of our projects, very optimistic. So we're saying, okay, well, we're a bit tight, but that's cost of holiday. We'll pull it back in September. Then September happens and a few things happen in September. We make the assumption that everyone is going to be back. But guess what? People aren't always back. There are the people that have kids that are going off to university. They won't be starting till later in September. So those people will need to be around to move their kids to university and things like that. There were the people that have kids starting school that will suddenly find it's taken up more of their time to get their kids embedded in than they'd envisioned it would. And then you've got your people with no kids at all who've not gone away over the summer because it costs a fortune because all the kids are off and are now going away because it's cheaper in September. So no one comes back when you think they will, which catches people out. The next thing is strategy trumps projects. The project teams and the project managers haven't been the only people away. All of your C-suite have been away and senior managers. And while they've been away lying on the beach and reading the latest books of management ideas and podcasts and things, they've been refreshing and recharging their batteries like we have. So they rock back up to the office and they've got ideas. And there is nothing worse for a routine, nicely planned out portfolio than senior leaders with ideas, because they want things to happen with those ideas. So they're going to pull people in for discussions. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do something differently in 2024? What's our vision for the future? They're all valid questions. These people are senior, they are shapers, they're driving the organization, but they need people to work on those ideas. And where do those people come from? They come out of your pool of resources for your projects, which means that we slow things down even more because those people are multitasking. And it's also really, really difficult for us to find a rhythm because of all those things above. Trying to get people back into that cadence of working is really, really, really hard when it's quite a disruptive, tumultuous period like we have in September. So that's our challenge. What can we do about it? Over to you guys. We've got a few people in the, so apologies for those live streaming. You can't join in the chat. We've got a lot of people in the sort of what I call the inner circle who signed up for the Zoom thing here. And if you've not done that before, do go over to the House of PMO website and sign up for the event there for next time around. But I'm keen to get people on the mic. Who here's got ideas for what they do, what strategies you put in place in September to try and avoid some of these problems really biting you? Got any suggestions, any ideas? Ooh, my screen suddenly went back. Let me move that forwards again.
I was just going to say, John, you won't get many ideas from me because I'm the one that goes on holiday in September.
Oh, you're well. That's one way to deal with it as a PMO professional. Let's just go on holiday. Let the whole thing sort itself out itself, I suppose. That's one approach. How about anyone else who's in a PMO where they're sort of looking at this challenge rushing towards them over the next couple of weeks? How are you working to get people back into routines and things?
Well, Jeremy's put, don't plan any critical activities for September. I must admit, from a House of PMO point of view, we don't have any critical go lives in September. But yeah, and then it's just, but you're saving it up, aren't you? Because it'll be like bang, bang, bang then after that.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good shout. So I've got a few sort of ideas that I pulled together here. So have some kind of a welcome back to normality for people as early as you can in September. Now, how that works largely depends on your organization. For some people, that's a meeting. Let's pull people together, zoom out as much as we can, remind people, avoid it being a lecture on doing reporting and things in a timely manner. Yeah? Don't lead with, have you done your timesheets? what this kind of a welcome back needs to be is a restating of the big picture. What does our strategy look like? What's our direction? When we all pulled together our strategic objectives last Christmas or last April, what was our direction and how are we doing with that? So try and align everybody with that vision, and then go into the detail of reminding people what routines we've got, what structures we've got, and how we move forward with a cadence together. So you're trying to ground people and bring it wide, and then bring people down to remind them of the regular routines and structures. And lastly, remind them the PMO is there to help them get through those things, right? You do need to be enforcing those routines. I know we don't like to be thought of as the PMO police, but we are doing it for people's own good. The sooner we get those routines in place, the sooner people get back to normal way of working, and you get that regular rhythm and routine that everybody craves. So you're doing it, you're being the sort of nasty person that's enforcing for the good of the projects and for the good of flow through the organization there. And managing upwards is another important one. Tell your managers. So when you go back to the office, maybe not this afternoon, but maybe Monday, when you're having those meetings, talk to your senior leadership team and tell them about this pattern. Be open about it. Tell them it happens. Tell them what you will see over the next few weeks is project resources will be pulled by their managers to look at longer term strategic things, and they may not be 100% focused on projects. If you're pulling people away as a manager to do strategic things, that will impact projects as well. So do share those ideas with your managers so they can be cognizant of what's happening and think carefully with eyes wide open about any decisions they're making that distract people from the projects that they're doing. Or maybe if you have those critical projects that absolutely can't slip, then actually sharing with them what those are and getting them to reinforce the messages that no matter what else is happening, this is priority one for us. Limit WIP, so try and stop those multiple things happening at once as much as you can. So again, keep the focus on the important stuff. And lastly, learn from it. So at the end of September, the end of October, once you've gone through this, write all the things down that happened. Set yourself a diary reminder to go off maybe in July that reminds you of all of those things that you'll have forgotten about by then that you need to do better next time around. Because there's nothing worse than learning lessons, filing them away, and then not having them popping up and reminding us next time around. Final thought from me is Christmas comes at the end of Q4, and I'm not sure when the right time is to start thinking about Christmas, but in the PMO, it should be early, right? So I'm just going to leave you with a few thoughts on this one. Think about your reporting cycles now. What happens? Adjust those diaries, start talking about what that looks like. Think about what needs rescheduling, because there'll always be things that need rescheduling around that time, so think about those. Change freezes really break a lot of your projects. So talk to your tech teams, talk to your CIO, understand what those are going to be like, and help them so you're jointly communicating what those things are and what the impacts are likely to be. If there's going to be change requests around that for your projects, let's get those in and out of the way now so they're done and dusted. And lastly, how many of you have milestones in your portfolio that were set ages ago where somebody just put end of Q4? And that suddenly becomes December the 31st as an official time, and it hasn't been changed since. Now is the time to look at those December the 31st milestones, give them a kick, see how realistic they are, and see how many of the project team are really going to be working on New Year's Eve and delivering these things and getting them signed off. Again, now's the time to start focusing on those, adjusting and moving things around, and creating yourself a realistic plan for Q4 that everyone can get behind and deliver on. There you go. That's me. That's my thoughts on Q4.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. We've shout out to YouTube viewers as well. We've had Stuart saying that his organisation is ramping up in September, but for him, he's never ramped down. He still feels like he's stuck in Q7 2022. It feels like he's never got out of it. So a bit of a Twilight Zone moment going on there. I'm sure many people can sympathize, empathize, is that the word? But yeah, thank you very much, John. Great idea, and we'll be back with more great ideas, I suspect, because it's a nice little segment. But let's move on.
We'll give a challenge,
and then we'll be coming out to you. And on your tables you should have
What's going on?
You've got a little hot or not thing to hold up.
Hopefully you heard that little bit in the background. background. Yeah, what's going on. We don't often give a shout out to others, but there's a lot of stuff going on for PMO people in the next few months. Impact Summit, many of you all know Laura, who's spoken at the PMO conference before. She has got a full week of activity. It's a free event if you're watching on the day. For people here that are from the healthcare, NHS, that kind of environment, the Healthcare Project Change Association launched their very first conference. It's a new body for people that are working in project and change in healthcare and NHS. We have got Joe that runs PMO Leader, again, coming out of the States. This is a free event. But interestingly, not quite sure what this one's all about, but it's only around the corner in October. But go and check out Joe's website. You can sign up for it and be informed when the agenda's out. Of course, this is the one that you all need to be going to. Not only is it in such a stunning country, in a stunning city, but we're obviously back with the PMO conference in Edinburgh. Kind of small and nice intimate sessions and a feel from a Scottish hospitality. And the final one there is a new one on the agenda from America's organization, PMO Global Alliance, and they're going for something called a PMO Uncon. Anybody who's ever tried or been to an unconference, I know what it's like. We know, don't we, Eileen, John, actually running an unconference. We did it many moons ago in Manchester. We called it Stand Up for PMO, but in essence, that's what it was. An unconference is an interesting way to share and learn, isn't it? I mean,
it's fabulous. It's one of those things that's really, really hard work, but great fun.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about that is that that is a lot of sharing and interaction with other peers and things like that. So good luck to America. I know it's going to be tough to put that on, but if you fancy Paris in December, that's the one. So we want to make sure that on our sessions for HotHouse that if there is anything that we think is good for other PMO people to check out, we'll be bringing those to you. So there you go, there's some for your diary, and that is just in the next couple of months. So yeah, good stuff, and great to see, of course. So moving on, let's have a look at our next piece today at HotHouse. So this is a regular session that we do, which is to kind of bring basically from, looking back over the last month, what's been going on from both John, Eileen and my point of view, and sharing what we think might be hot right now and not right now for PMO people. John, you're first up. Are you ready? This is yours.
Born ready, yeah, absolutely. So hot right now, annual PMO assessments. This is one that we've been doing a lot of work with recently. A few years ago, maturity assessments were all the rage. Doing maturity audits, seeing how you ranked on a sort of 1 to 5 scale. I've never been a fan of those, because there's no point in your PMO being at a sort of level 4 for risk management if the organisation is nowhere close to that. So a lot of it is about alignment. So what we've been doing a lot in HotPMO recently is working on this a model that we've built ourselves for doing an annual assessment of PMOs. But basically we do a series of questionnaires, interviews with an organisation, but with the focus not just on what the PMO's doing, but actually we speak to the delivery and to the organisation as well. And the idea of that assessment is to look at where the PMO is relative to delivery and relative to the organisation, looking at what those gaps are and sort of probing those areas. So we're playing back to the organisation. Are there services that we're missing? Are there gaps that we're not delivering in? Are there things that we're doing that just don't quite align at the moment? We're really liking that approach. It seems to be working well. So I'd encourage everyone to have a look at whether there's something like that they can adopt inside their organizations as well. Because we can all be guilty of being quite static in the PMO space, where we've had a service or a process that works for a long time. We don't want to change it, right? Well, all around us, the organization is moving and evolving. So these are a good opportunity to do a little check and balance of where we are, take stock, maybe annually, and then look at how we need to evolve to support the business as it evolves as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. Eileen, you're next up. Tell us about this one.
Well, just PMOs, we seem to be the in crowd now. So I don't know whether, there's a danger when you go on to kind of LinkedIn that you're in an echo chamber and you just kind of see things that you're interested in. We do try to kind of keep a broader view, but PMO definitely seems to be the place to be at the moment. There's an awful lot of people out there who are kind of joining in and trying to kind of create opportunities. But even if you look at the jobs board now, and what's interesting is, well, the term PMO seems to be used in a more generic format than kind of some of the other titles that PMOs have had in the past. So it's just nice for a change to be in the in crowd. So good on us. And I don't mean us House of PMO. I mean, good on us as a community that, it's just nice to be in a job that's recognised much more now.
Yeah, great. And mine is all about women and self-assessments. This came as an insight actually from we were back in Manchester for the Project Hack event, because as you might know, we're trying to get our heads around the old artificial intelligence project data analytics for PMO practitioners. And one of the things we did was put a hack suggestion, a challenge forward, and also the reflection of some of the work that House of PMO is doing around self-assessments. We've got some really interesting early insights, and we will be sharing some of that later on down the line. But why is it but it's women that opt to do their self-assessment more than men? And it is quite significantly more women, at least double the amount. So this is about people doing their PMO competency framework self-assessments. It's a member benefit for people. Corporates also obviously have the ability as well. But why is it that it is more women that are doing it? But also equally, what is it that makes it that actually men are not particularly bothered about doing it? Or is it time, or what is it? But it is really interesting, and it's a startling big gap between them. But but go on, good for you, ladies, because at the end of the day, self-assessment is just one of the ways that we take care of our own careers. So but I'll be interested as we do more insights and things over the coming months, and I'd be really interested to know what that is about. And we've got some comments here in the audience that Sarah's saying, is it because women are harder on ourselves, and that we seek out and utilize tools like this to help provide insights that help me perhaps with confidence. Rachel, is it because we as women are more interpersonal curiosity than men? But what is it? I'd be interested, if you're watching this live on sessions out there, let us know in the comments as well. But yeah, it's interesting insight for us. So let's look at the flip side to the hot right now, which is obviously it's not right now. John, you're first up with your wonderfully cryptic
impermeable cylinders. I was trying to come up with a sort of catchy name for it, so basically this is about, if you, and it does tend to mainly be sort of scaled agile type methods and people that tend to do this. But there's always this pitch about, you've got silos in your organization. We need to break those silos down. We're going to focus on value streams. And I know there's a lot going on with value streams at the moment. I think actually sort of PMO Learner, I know you've got a course running dedicated to value streams at the moment as well for PMO people, which is starting, I think, this month. But one thing I just wanted to flag is one of the dangers that we have with some of these models is that you can take your silos, break them. We build something that goes across the organization, these value streams, and then we make them really, really rigid. So they can't move and can't change. Except, guess what? The organization is moving and changing. We build a nice value stream for a product that we have at the moment. Then the products change, and that doesn't quite work for us anymore. And what we've basically done is taken our nice vertical silos and pivoted them 90 degrees and given ourselves some horizontal impermeable cylinders instead. So it's just that, trying to just be really, really clear. That's not to say we shouldn't be breaking down silos. We should. That's not to say we shouldn't be getting into the world of value streams and embracing them as a way of delivering. I strongly believe that we should, and I think it's great that there's more learning out there for PMO people on it. But we shouldn't ever lose sight of the fact that where these things are being talked about in the context of agility, the aim is to make ourselves agile and nimble as an organization. And to do that, the value streams that we're creating horizontally, we need to be mindful of those need to flex and move and change as the organization evolves as well. Otherwise, we end up creating ourselves. We solve one problem and create a whole lot of different ones.
I love the name though. And by the way, all of the images on these sessions on the Hot and Nots are created by Midjourney, the AI tool for image generation. So if you're looking for some inspiration for any of your own images, check out Midjourney.
Can I just question, Lindsay, did you actually type in impermeable cylinders when you were generating that picture? Is that what it brought up? How fantastic.
I didn't know what else to do there, but and then I had to switch it 90 degrees to make it horizontal rather than vertical. Anyway, there you go. Eileen, what's yours all about?
Well, it's really interesting. When we put these hot nuts together, we don't actually kind of speak to each other until it kind of comes together in the final presentation. But this is really quite interesting because it links back to what John was just talking about, kind of doing that assessment. And when we talk to PMOs, almost without exception, they all want to do more for their customers. Yes, and more for their customers means more, not realignment and shutting some services off and kind of looking at things that are adding greater value. We just want to do more for our customers. And we recognize that, we've only got a certain number of resources available. And we talk about, kind of AI, machine learning, helping us to be more efficient so we can do more of the good stuff. But I genuinely think, and again, going back to John was saying about the maturity of the organization, we sometimes have to look at some services and think, do we really need to run this service in the way that it's currently run? Was this designed for an organization with less maturity, less knowledge about what needs to be done? And it isn't necessarily about saving time. It's about just not doing a service that is not of huge value to the organization. And sometimes people just get, our customers get very comfortable with kind of the support that they get from the PMO. And it goes back to the old adage about give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, give him a fishing rod and he feeds himself for a lifetime. And I think often when we do kind of some of those introductory services, we keep feeding them fish. And I think how many of us kind of look at the life cycle of a service and plan for it to shut down, because actually we plan through the life of that service to give the project and program managers kind of fishing rods to do a lot more for themselves.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eileen. And finally, for me, communication and stakeholder management, which why would that be not right now? I think the problem is with this one is we know just how important it is in terms of the PMO role, the PMO practitioner, having both sides to the skills, which is the obviously the technical side and then the more interpersonal side. I'm going to be sharing something on, a little later on in this episode, but looking at where PMOs feel like they need training and support and improvement, actually communication and stakeholder management skills were at the bottom, which is a really interesting insight as far as I'm concerned, because actually I would argue that it is one of those key skills where we are not doing enough in order to be able to improve on these kind of things. All the conversations that I've been having more recently, I just did a session for Laura on an impact summit. Everybody's talking about, grown-up PMOs, strategic value, all of these kind of like high-level portfolio management type thing, all rely on the ability to be able to manage various people at various levels within an organization. These skills are never going to have been as important, but I'll show you the full lot of where PMO people feel like they need the training the most. However, just that early insight is that communication, stakeholder management related type skills was at the bottom of the pile, which is a bit of a shame. So don't know what you feel about that, but you can drop it into chat if you've got any thoughts on what you've heard in terms of hot and not right now, in terms of what you think and what you're seeing. We'd love to know. So moving on, keep you on your toes. Let's So poll of the month, Eileen, this is going to be yours, and you've got a nice question or a nice area that many people in PMO love to hate.
I love benefits management, and I think it's a really kind of fascinating subject. And for a long time, it was on the top of the too hard list for organisations. And over the kind of the last probably 5 to 10 years, it's gradually where organisations are starting to tackle it. And there's quite a few organisations who've developed their benefits management framework, got it integrated with their delivery framework, spent time developing their sponsor community, and have kind of moved forward quite a bit with it. Still recognizing there's a number of people, a number of organizations who are still kind of thinking benefits management. Yeah, we'd love to be able to do that. So whatever kind of stage we've got benefits management in, I'm curious about this how we ensure our benefits in the business case are realistic. We've heard of the optimism bias, and there is a bit of that, and we know our PMO can be the critical friend. But I was just interested in terms of what are the strategies. So am I launching the poll? Yes, I'm launching the poll. Right then, so hopefully you can all see the poll there. So it's about how do you in your organizations ensure the benefits in your business case are realistic. So we've got the options of we struggle. We do a simple sense check by finance or PMO. It gets validated by a third party. We use models and algorithms, so we do some specific modeling for those particular projects, so a bit of research, or we use some additional modeling. So there's things like population forecasts we might want to use, or financial forecasts that we use for our projects. We've got sponsors are held fully accountable, and once you start making sponsors accountable, ideally, yes, then what they do is they make sure they're comfortable and confident they can deliver the benefits, and therefore making them more realistic. Or I'm happy for any other suggestions to take place. So we've had do you know what the majority of answers is? Right, I'm going to end the poll and share the results with you, which is fascinating. So the vast majority are still struggling to make the benefits realistic. And I think we've kind of almost been lulled into a false sense of security, and organizations as well, because we've now got lots of theory. And so in our benefits framework, we've got this nice, you do the business case, you've got your costs and benefits. We'll do some benefits profiles and we'll track them and do all of those types of things. But we're consistently finding, I believe, by the time we get to do benefits realization, that actually our ideas weren't necessarily as robust, shall we say, as we perhaps wanted them at the end. So I was interested in terms of how many of us in our PMOs have started to kind of take that next step. Yes, we've got benefits management there, but actually, what are we actually going to do to make sure those benefits are actually true and actually we can deliver them at the end? And one of the really interesting ones now, as I said, I was talking to somebody this week, is this: I've always worked on the principle that if you get the sponsor engaged, the organization holds the sponsor truly accountable for the benefits, then you've got a sense of realism at the beginning of the project. The interesting thing for an awful lot of projects is by the time the project gets delivered, the sponsor is no longer there. So they either have left just before the project goes live, or they've, they've had this fantastic launch of something and they've got a promotion or a move because they've done such a fantastic job, even though it's the project manager who's done the delivery. So there's lots of reasons why the sponsor isn't necessarily there at the end. And some of the mullings we were having this week was actually, if it's not the person, then actually what we're trying to depend on then is the process, which then falls back onto the PMO that says, what are we doing to kind of make sure that they're realistic as we go through the project? So I think there's a couple of things we can do, but I definitely think it's an area as a, from a House of PMO perspective, where we can perhaps do a little bit more thinking. And I'm really interested in terms of what you're doing in this area. So, in terms of the sponsor, I still believe that's absolutely key, but also kind of making sure that that sponsor responsibility is handed over. So, if the project manager changes through the project, essentially it's a change management activity, it's a change request, because yes, we have to understand what the impact that's going to have on the project, because it's never a project manager who comes in and just kind of picks up the budget and picks up the plan without looking at it and says, yes, I'm happy to deliver. And we should feel the same about the sponsor. It's interesting, isn't it? We get halfway through the project and a new sponsor appears, and all of a sudden that sponsor says, hold on, I've looked at the business case, I'm not quite sure how I can deliver those benefits, because they're putting a really difficult position then, because what you don't want to do is go into a new position as a sponsor and say, well, actually, I'm going to cancel the project because the business case doesn't stack up. How popular is that going to make you on the first few days in the role? The other thing we talked about is use of algorithms. And this is sometimes where we're in an organization where we're monetizing benefits because we can't quite deal with qualitative benefits. So we want everything in pounds, shillings and pence, or dinar, rands, or dollars, whatever your currency is. And sometimes those models change over time, and there's a configuration management role there for the PMO to recognize which business cases are using which models, and therefore if models get updated, then actually we need to go through and recalculate the business case. So I think there are some real kind of practical things we can do, but perhaps we could create a help sheet to help people move on to this realism of benefits to help you.
I think one of the notes we captured, Andrew, thanks. I think it's one that many people struggle with, hard to capture the intangible non-financial benefits consistently. I think that deserves a good hour session from the House of PMO, because it sounds like it's a very common occurrence.
I was hoping to get the chat to kind of zoom off the page with millions of ideas that people had that they were doing in their organization, but it's obviously something that people are continuing to struggle with.
Yes, no, absolutely. So House of PMO to the rescue. We'll get it sorted.
There's an animation to be made.
Okay, and again, just moving on. I want your thoughts on this. I know we're coming to the end of the session, but we ran a poll throughout July, asking people visiting to the website, so over 100 responses, what training needs would most benefit your PMO role? I'm not asking you to take part in another poll. We've already done the poll, and I'm going to show you the results. But I just wanted to just to show you what was on the options, because I've already shared with you how low the communication and stakeholder management skills were, but I didn't show you what it was competing against. So what do we think when you look through this kind of list for you personally? It'd be lovely if you could just literally put 1 or 2 words in chat, press return. Which out of these 10 jump out at you as being not necessarily, it's you'll be thinking about like right now, or something that's coming down the line, and if you don't want to think about yourself, perhaps the PMO team, but if you can have a quick look through those 10 and let us know in the chat. And again, if you're watching this live streaming, let us know which one of these is the one that most jumps out for you at the moment, that money's no object and you could do any kind of training to help you in your PMO career. What would you go for? And thanks, Jeremy. You've got the data analyst, Eileen, again, the data analyst stuff. What do you think? And I'm just going to show you what the wider community came up with. So yeah, some more data analyst stuff, got portfolio management and strategic planning, change management. Those seem to be the ones here in the audience. Let's have a look at what the wider community went with. not in any particular order, but you can see there stretching out at 46%. Portfolio management and strategic planning. What did I say before? It just seems to be the thing at the moment. A lot of conversations around the PMO, at a kind of portfolio level, EPMO level, getting involved in strategic planning and supporting around that. I think there's a lot of people, latching onto the fact that this is something where, they may need to strengthen their particular knowledge and skill and things around, or it's just an indication of where your organization's going and its PMO thinking. So that's certainly out there. Second, we've still got the kind of methodologies and best practice at 38%. And then following up with, we've got change management and agile transformation. Yeah, it's still big in a lot of organizations that are getting to grips with that. You can see the data analyst stuff coming in at 25% and the technical skills at 21%, which is around the software, the tools, automation. Again, there's that link to the AI things where we've certainly seen with sessions that we've been doing this year that anything that is you can utilize around like the Power Apps, Power BI was obviously getting a lot of attention at the moment. So that's just give you just a wider view of the community, visitors to House of PMO website in terms of where they're thinking in their own development. So it's just always nice to see what other people are thinking. So we draw to the end of our time together, and I'm going to be totally putting John on the spot because I didn't actually say up front, but he's really good at doing this off the top of his head. We want to go out in a blaze of glory, John, from our session in August as we look towards the horizon, as you beautifully kicked us off with today. What are some of your thoughts about the the blaze of glory in which we go out in today? What's caught your eye and imagination?
I mean, I love these sessions, the way we sort of pack so many ideas in, and today's been sort of no different to the others. We've gone from sort of being horizontal on a beach to sort of upright and working. We've talked through, now through to planning for Christmas. We talked about how we're going to be swanning away to events in Paris, Edinburgh, some stuff online for those of us that can't quite escape the office. We've gone through assessment as well, assessing the PMO, and we've assessed ourselves to be cool, I think Eileen described us as. Then we've done self-assessment as well, although only the women, curiously, because us men apparently are, I don't know, are we too overly confident ourselves? I'm not quite sure. We need to look into that one a bit more, I think. We've looked at benefits as well. We've explored benefits, and we sort of all seem to acknowledge that it's something we'd like to be doing. One of the positives I saw there was actually 5 out of I think it was sort of 5 so 5 of the people who'd responded sort of actually were doing something in this space already. So it's kind of almost half the people that we polled there were actually already doing something in the benefits space. Even if it's a little bit, it's moving in the direction of driving that to a degree of maturity, which is fantastic. Although I think we all acknowledge on the call, there's still more help and guidance needed there. And interestingly, as soon as we finished saying, yeah, we really need more help and guidance on benefits management, we immediately went on to the next item where everyone said, actually, we really want data analysis skills and portfolio training. So again, I was quite interested in that sort of difference there and saying, we all think we need benefits training. And then when it actually came to it and we asked, well, if money was no object, what would we study? We looked at data analysis and reporting again as well. So a bit of an interesting sort of difference in what we feel we should be doing and versus what we'd like to be doing. Maybe it's something just to think about there. Certainly when you've got teams asking for training, are they doing the things that they want to be doing, or are they doing the ones that will benefit your organization and align you better with them? That's my takeaways from today. It was a fantastic session as ever. Thank you to everyone who joined in. Back to you, Lindsay.
Okay, super. And we bring ourselves to a close, like perfectly on time. We've got a couple of things coming up. We take bank holiday week here in the certainly in England and Wales and Northern Ireland, is it? I don't think you've got one in Scotland, but it's bank holiday week here next week. So we take a little break. We're back in the what we call that back to school feeling. We've got events coming up, 2 events events in that first week. And also just to let you know that for the next HotHouse PMO, which comes up at the end of September, I'm doing it alone. I'm looking for a new co-host for a week. If any of you would love to come and do it with me, you know, if you want to be, you know, the double act, I'd be more than happy to have you. But there's a thing for you to think about. If you like what we're doing here at PMO HotHouse and you'd love to come along for the ride, please do come and join us. And for any other events, we've got lots planned for September, October and November. Go and check it out, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you, John. Thank you, Eileen. We'll see you again soon. Bye.